I was ready to order the Canon EOS R5 today, but severe overheating concerns have caused me to put that order on hold. Let's get into it.
Delivering informative capability-based reviews and tutorials on camera gear, filming techniques, and content creation.
Hi, I'm Simon. Welcome to The Ordinary Filmmaker. If you're new here, subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any important news. And all the links to everything I talk about in this video, including gear discussed, are placed in the description down below. Now, before I get into today's important news, just a reminder that I'm still giving away this Canon EF 50mm f1.8 lens. The contest ends July 31st. Subscribe to my channel for your chance to win. That's it. See contest details in the description down below, or just watch this video there. I'm super excited by the many capabilities and innovations found in the Canon EOS R5 and the EOS R6. As I've stated before, I'm ready to step up the quality. I want 10-bit 422, and I want the ability to record in All-I, IPB, H.265. Unfortunately, this means I can't go with the $24.99 R6, as it only supports IPB recording in the standard frame rates. Yet, and this is what's frustrating to me, I have All-I in the 70D, and yes, this isn't the sharpest image, but this is a 7-year-old camera. But we also get All-I in the EOS R, but not in the more expensive and more advanced R6. And this is the first minor attack of the cripple hammer. So the R5, you say? Yeah, not exactly. In the video I put out earlier, this one here, I quoted Peter McKinnon's concern with overheating in that camera.
Example, if you're shooting a lot of 4K 120, sometimes the camera starts to overheat and it gives you that overheat warning just so that the things inside don't melt and it doesn't get destroyed. When you think of a cinema series camera like the C500 and up, those all have huge fans built into them, but we're talking a mirrorless camera here. This is very small. This little thing doesn't have two giant fans cooling it down the entire time, so it gets hot. Of course, the more shooting that you do, you're gonna have to wait. So it makes sense to me that it overheats based off those settings that you're shooting at. For me though, that is one of the downsides. I understand having to wait for the camera to cool down.
So something was bugging me, and I said so in that video, so I dug a little deeper after I published that video. I began reading the specs, watching real-world videos or reviews of people who had the R5 and the R6, and then doing some more reading. And one thing became very clear to me. The EOS R5 has a severe overheating issue in pre-production cameras. Now I want to stress this is with pre-production cameras. Now EOS HD, and Andrew Reed has brought us some really good stuff in the past. So Andrew Reed of EOS HD says that the R5 is good for about 20 minutes of recording in 8K RAW at 30 frames per second. Now that's with an ambient temperature of around 23 degrees Celsius, which is about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that's barely summer temperature even in Canada. It's currently 95 degrees outside. Yes, in Canada. Yes, it does get that hot here. Now in 4K oversampled at 30 frames per second, we get 30 minutes of record time. Not great, but not terrible either, you might say. Could this just be the experience with EOS HD and Peter? Nope. This tech also had these cameras in hand. While they only had it for a couple of hours, they noticed that the R5 started overheating and they actually do have an overheating symbol, and it came on after about an hour of use. Even after waiting for the R5 to cool off, recording time is significantly shortened. This is because the camera doesn't have any passive cooling system with vents, let alone a fan in place to help keep things cool. If you record in 8K 30 frames per second, the R5 needs to cool down. After the camera cools off for about 10 minutes, you only get an additional 3 minutes of record time before it needs further cooling. Now in 4K 60, you only get 10 minutes to shoot after cooling before it needs to be powered off again. If the shooting is stopped due to a restricted listed previously, the camera must be turned off before the movie can shoot again. It is necessary to wait for the temperature inside the camera to drop. If the temperature inside the camera rises, it may be necessary to wait longer for the camera to recover. But wait, it gets worse. You see, since the 4K cinematic frame rates are oversampled from the 8K sensor output, these two are also limited, and this was one of the biggest selling features of this camera. Not only did it have 8K, which is fine, and how often am I going to use 8K, but to be able to get an oversampled 8K and downsample it to 4K in camera is amazing. Now, for the ordinary filmmaker like me, this might be usable in all seasons but summer. Now, last year, I was in France. It was 85 degrees plus most of the time. How much record time would I get? Now, if I shot 30 seconds to a minute clips at a time, would the camera overheat? You see, I need to know these answers before I can lay down good, hard-working money on the R5. It's $38.99 US, and that doesn't include the lens. Add the lens, another $1,100. That's really a concern to me, and that's for run and gun stuff. Now, for shooting YouTube videos, where I need quite often longer than 30 minutes, my Q&A videos that I shoot outside, I wouldn't be able to do on the R5 based on the pre-production concerns that we're hearing about. Well, no, actually, that's not true. I could get a big bucket of ice water and I could stick the R5 in that for a couple of minutes and cool it off. I don't know if that would be covered under warranty, though. Submerging the camera into an ice bath to have any chance of shooting before the day is over is obviously not a solution, and please, nobody try and do this. Unless, of course, you're trying to make your video go viral and get your channel noticed. In that case, knock yourself out. For professionals using the camera on set, long cooldowns due to overheating make it unusable. We can't expect the whole set to stop while the camera or cameras cool down. I don't think the S1H has anything to worry about with regards to the R5 anytime soon if these problems aren't resolved in the production models. And without venting, I'm unsure of how much better things will get. For ordinary photographers, you have nothing to worry about, but for filmmakers, you might want to wait and see how the full production cameras perform. Will this be fixed in the production model? Well, we'll just have to wait and see, but I don't know. I'm really unsure about this. This one's kind of bugging me. It reminds me of the A7S II and the problems that it had. And Sony got raked over the coals when they released the A7S II with all its heating problems, and we all made fun of them. Well, that's what I'm kind of worried about here. Canon should have learned from this. They said they've been listening to us. They know what's going on. They must have known. They refused to put any vents in. They refused to put a fan in, and they've kept a small body. But what do you think? Are we willing to accept this level of overheating? Is this a major disappointment to you? Has the cripple hammer awoken and pile drive the R5 into uselessness? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. In this episode of Behind the Scenes, I want to sort of take you on a journey of where I first got this sort of sinking feeling in my stomach about the overheating. Now, when I watched Peter McKinnon's video, I was kind of taken back when he said, yeah, he talked a little bit about the overheating, but he didn't just mention it a little bit. He went into it in a bit of detail, kind of explaining it. And Peter McKinnon's a Canon ambassador, and so I thought, well, if he's mentioning it and giving it that much notice, then maybe there's something to it. So after I published the video, I went digging a little deeper. Some of you sent me the link to the EOS HD article by Andrew Reed saying there's severe overheating problems. I thought, okay. But I've learned from the past, and I started looking for other sources saying there were overheating issues. And there was videos from Vistech where they had the R5, and they said they also experienced overheating problems. Now, granted, it was a little hotter with them. I think it was around 80, 85 degrees as well. It was very hot. But in Andrew Reed's article, where he goes into detail, he's talking about it being 23 degrees, and that kind of bugs me a little bit. And my biggest concern is if I want to improve my game and I can't use these advanced features without the camera shutting off for at least 10 minutes, and then only getting a few minutes of record time after that, that's not even acceptable to me. Not at this price point to spend, let's see, $38, $48, $49, $4,900 US before taxes and any sort of shipping or customs. And to have problems like this, that's not acceptable to me. I love my 70D. I've dragged the thing around the world with me. It can stay on for hours. Yes, I have to reset it every 30 minutes, but it just keeps going and going and going. It's a great camera. All I want to do is just step up my quality a little bit. And, you know, I could go with the R6, but for some reason, Canon's decided not to include All-I, and I'm really stunned. This is a camera that costs $24.99. Why would they take All-I out? They had it in the 70D, they had it in the 80D, they took it out of the 90D, they put it in the EOS R, but they've taken it out of the more expensive EOS R6. And I don't know if it'll go into a firmware, but in those other cameras where they took it out, the firmware did not bring it back. They brought back 24 frames per second in the RP and the 90D, but they didn't bring back All-I. So I'm The main reason I'm doing this video is not because I want to rain on anybody's parade, because you know I've been looking forward to this camera as much as you. I've been 7 years with the 70D. But I know a lot of you are rushing out to pre-order this camera, and I just want you to be aware of this, to be aware that it is with pre-production models. This might be resolved to some degree in the production model. I just don't know. I just want you to be aware and to keep an eye out for this. So as more reviews come out with people who actually have these cameras that do in-depth reviews, keep an eye on this. If you're into photography though, if all you're doing is shooting photos, you're probably not going to have a problem with it. I really don't see it being a problem. But that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to have a chance of winning this EF 50mm f1.8. Don't worry, it doesn't overheat or smoke. You're safe with that. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. All equipment used and notes are placed in the description box, show more box, or down arrow thingy next to the title on the mobile app.